people, my people, my people, my people, my people. Welcome to another brilliant episode of Don't Forget to Flush podcast. That podcast that is all about the African Renaissance, culture commentary, and of course, by now your favorites, toilet seat conversations. Can't wait to get into those. But today I am so excited because I've sort of been plugging this for a while, trying to get these folks on the show. And I know that anyone listening right now, you all will be like, this must be epic. It must be. And I want to make sure you guys would enjoy this very epic episode. I have two sisters, medical practitioners, medical folks, business entrepreneurs, media moguls, social media influencers, the whole nine. If you talk about the total package, mom, wife, wife, girlfriend, babe, my babe has a babe, like the whole nine. Ladies and gentlemen, I am super excited to have and to welcome Nkeiru and Ify Yvonne. Please, guys, come on.
Hi, welcome. We're here finally.
We've been trying to make this happen. Like, my gosh. So let me just put it out there so that folks have the right introduction. Now, this is Dr. Ify Yvonne Madu and Dr. Nkeiru Uradu. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I call them the Mkparu Sisters because that's really their maiden name. But folks who don't know them about to folks, if you're listening, you might say, I don't know who these two people are. But by the time we start talking about them, I bet you must have seen their video. You might have dealt with their product. You might have seen something that they are doing, and you're about to find all of that out right now. So, ladies, welcome to Don't Forget to Flush podcast.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
It's about to be crazy.
I know, right?
Let's take it there because it's like, let me just. I want to cover up the elephant in the room if we can use that to sort of talk about it. Because,
go ahead.
Yeah, because here it is though. Folks will be like, I know these two ladies, Ify Yvonne, social media influencer. People have, with 90,000 subscribers on YouTube alone, like folks are like engaging with her. Enkay comes in and goes out from time to time. What's up? She's doing with the whole thing.
She's the unicorn of the team. She's the unicorn,
right? Yes. Yeah, but the interesting thing is that on this other spectrum, there's this business that you both run, Nkoma by Evie and Levy.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, of course, everyone will be like, where do we even start? So let's start here. Who is Ify Yvonne? Like, forget about who is Ify Yvonne?
I'm just a regular, boring person in Ohio. That's all I say. Like,
in Ohio?
Yeah, I'm just in Ohio. Just Nigerian American pharmacist. Trying to make that American dollar. So just have a little hustle on the side.
A little hustle.
Just having fun.
That is what you call little hustle. Okay, I'll take that. Now, Dr. Nkeiru, you are, and for those who don't know, a pediatrician and a pediatric endocrinologist fellow, or
pediatric endocrinology fellow. Yeah,
it's like even me just saying it alone, I get worried and confused. I'm like, what illness is this going to solve now? Because it's still waiting. Tell us about that and who is Enkay? Enkay. Let me call you by your social media handle. Enkay 1010.
So who am I? I'm a wife, a mother of 3 beautiful babies, and I'm a pediatrician as well as a pediatric endocrinology fellow. Endocrinology deals with the different glands in our bodies that make hormones. So I treat kids with issues such as type 1 or type 2 diabetes, thyroid disorders, growth disorders, etc. I can name a lot, but those are the main things. It's busy, but it's part of me. It's part of my life and my pursuit for, I guess, the highest level of education that I can obtain.
That is fantastic. So when you say fellow, it's not the same thing as the follow that we have on social media. This one is different. Because when they say fellow, I'm like, it doesn't mean that you are following someone, or is it? But let's not.
No, not fellow. Yeah.
But now, for those who don't know as well, Ify Yvonne that everyone sees on YouTube is a medical practitioner as well. Like you are like trailblazing pharmacist. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm a full-time pharmacist. I'm a full-time pharmacist, but people don't see that side that much. So you know, I feel like people sometimes wonder, like, so like, what does she do? Does she just post?
Yeah, I know, right?
And YouTube?
Little do you know, behind the scenes.
Yes, behind the scenes, all that is going on. So let me ask you guys this, and you guys tell me this story. Then, how did this happen? Like, I can already imagine that as kids born to Nigerian parents, if I'm right, they're Nigerian parents. You must have had the usual, you know, hey, this is what you got to do. You have to go to school, the whole nine. If you're not a doctor in the medical, nothing to happen, you know, all this kind of thing. So how do we now juxtapose that to everything you guys are doing with entrepreneurship and your businesses and all that? What was that journey like?
I feel like growing up, we saw our parents and our family be medical professionals and then have other things going on outside of that. So naturally for us, it was just like, yeah, I mean, we were going to go to medical school, pharmacy school and do this, but we can also do other things. So, and we grew up around that. So it wasn't anything where it's just like, oh, like, let's, like, which path do we go in? You know, just like, it's just us, you know? So we just went to school, but then we also have our own hobbies. So I just feel like our hobby just manifested into like publicly into, you know, our personas on the internet and then our business and stuff. But our father has his own business and does other investments outside of medical stuff. My mom, the same way. She's been a part of a lot of organizations, presidents to organizations, started her own business. So, and she's a pharmacist. So it's like, it's just what everyone's doing around us. So it's nothing new.
So who dragged who into this? Like, Nkei, would you say that was your journey as well? Like everything.
Okay, so this is it. Nkei was the YouTube person.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Nkei was a YouTube person, and Nkei and me and Junior used to make fun of Nkei for watching people on the internet. Yes. Yep. We used to make fun of her. And then somehow I got here.
Yeah. I feel like for me, the creative aspect of things really started organically. Our grandmother, Lady Lucy Achebe, she really was such an influential, person in our lives. Like growing up, she used to make us on a daily basis, like sew and do different arts and crafts around the house. And we never really thought much of it, to be honest. Like half the time we didn't want to do it, to be honest, as kids. But in my later life and adult life, I realized like, oh, I can sew. Like, you know, I just woke up one day and realized I could sew. Like, it's because she taught me that as a child. Yeah. And this was back in the day when we were in college. Ify was in a pageant in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yes.
Wait,
she was like,
this is.
Yeah, she was in a pageant in Pittsburgh.
Hold on. Because I'm actually Miss Africa of Southwest Pennsylvania, 2011.
Talk about
that.
I just never tell people that.
So when she entered that pageant, she was like, I need a dress, but not any dress. And I was like, I can make it for you. And keep in mind, I had never made a dress before, but I was like, something in me was like, I can do this. I know I can do this. So the day of, I think I arrived with like all this stuff that I had made. I made a dress for her, which she never tried on, nothing. And so the day I showed up with all my stuff and I was like, this is the dress, it's going to be perfect. So she ended up putting it on and actually fit perfectly. And she went on to win the pageant. And I was like, okay, I think I just did a thing. Like, I think that was a thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like,
so I started sewing more often. And my interest for sewing grew and grew, and my abilities grew and grew. And so it just blossomed like literally organically into, you know, different endeavors that we do through the business. And I think for me, what I started doing for myself was making bonnets. And I was like, oh, the regular bonnet doesn't work for me. Half the time in the middle of the night, it's gone. It doesn't do anything to my hair. It doesn't hold my edges down, etc. So I made this like bonnet, but had like a little scarf component in the front of it. And Ify was like, yo, we have to make this and sell it. And I was like, you know, I wasn't thinking anything of it. But then Ify was kind of the mastermind that put structure to my idea. And that's kind of how, you know, the bonnets became, you know, what they are today.
Flagship, yeah.
Yeah. So Nkei's more of the creative director, and then I execute like what she creates. You know what I mean? Like
that's how you guys work so well together. Because that was going to be one of my. I was even going to ask if she was still involved, because it seems like right now, 2020, if we look back, Ify is the face of now. Now I understand why she can even model everything you guys are making, because I'm like, if she's the local champion, the beauty pageant of Southern Pennsylvania 2011,
Yes, get it right.
what are we talking about?
Yeah, because as I said, Nkei's the creative director. Like with the pageant, Nkei made all my outfits. And I was just like, hey, you know what I mean? And same thing with the company. Like Nkei is the one that designs, like she draws, designs, you know, basically everything. And then I'm the one that kind of puts it into like life. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that is so
I have so many ideas, and because of time constraints, I can't always bring those ideas to fruition. So sometimes I just tell Ify, look, like this is my idea, just make it happen.
So send me her drops and stuff, and then I'll go and produce it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
That is. So let me step back into family, because one of the questions that a lot of the folks on that listen to us on the podcast always has is, they would always talk about, was this something your parents supported? Now I know they were into business, I know they did school, but was it like a kind of trade-off? Was it like, okay, you must do school so that I can support you to do this, or was this always natural? Nigerian parents, African parents, you know, you both tell us the truth now.
When we were in school, like our main focus was school, because like all this didn't blossom until we finished school. You know what I mean? So we had everything was in the ground, like in the making. You know what I mean? And then as soon as we finished school, then we were able to put it to life. So there was never a time when they were like, you know, like, oh no, if you like focus on this first, then you can do that later. We were always focusing on school, and then we had books and books of ideas. You know what I mean? Like Nkoma started like back when we were in high school, that we drew everything out. So it was like when we finished school, then we had time to put all our ideas into motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we started putting into motion, I did YouTube, and and the business started. They were like, oh, this is like good. This is like something good to do on the side while you're working. You know what I mean? So they were always supportive of it. And then it's like when we blew up and got like worldwide kind of like, you know, recognition and stuff, and my parents were kind of like, oh, wow. You guys, wow. Like, you know what I mean?
These are my children.
Yeah, exactly.
This is your daughter. And then they'll argue and say, this one takes after me. That one takes after you. Yeah, you know, like they go through the...
Yeah, I will always say though, our parents never told us, even growing up, that we couldn't do something. It was just that there's a time and a place for everything, right? There's nothing wrong with doing everything in an orderly fashion, right? So my mom always had this thing saying, when we were growing up, saying that it's not the place for children to be doing adult things, right? So if in your childhood life, your only focus and goal really should be succeeding in education. And then when you get to your adult life, you can then explore other things as your primary focus. But I think education has always been the cornerstone of things that our parents have taught us. So I think that for us, like you said, we had all these ideas growing up, but we knew that our education came first. Yeah. So graduating from school was always our goal. And then after that, it's like,
okay, the next,
whatever my mind thinks of, then I go to next.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you've been listening, this is Don't Forget to Flush podcast. Of course, you know that is because you tuned in. But more importantly, you might be wondering, what is this platform that we're talking about? And I just want to put it out there so that you all can just use your phone right now and check it out. But this is Nkoma by Ify and Levy. But I think the website is just nkoma.com. So it's Nkeoma.com. That is the website. And on social media, I love the fact that you both have the Nkoma by Ify Levy as the social media handle. And that's just one of the businesses that we're talking about here. That's just one. That one is the one. All this time that we've spent, we've just been talking about one business. Yeah. So let me ask you this before I talk about the other two. And folks, you guys can follow us on social media at Don't Forget to Flush. Or you could look at us up on Twitter at Don't Forget to Flush P. Or please just send us an email, don't forget to flushpod@gmail.com. But before we get into the other two businesses and the other ones that are in the books that you guys have been talking about, I have a broader question, right? And the question is with regards to, you know, living here, growing up here. Were you both born here? What is it like being an entrepreneur in America from your perspective?
So Nkei and I were both born in the US. Like I feel like there's so much about us that some people will think that we were born in Nigeria, and then some people will be like, oh yeah, you know, they were born here. I feel
So
like
your homes are like mini
I feel like
Nigeria.
we're a pretty good mixture of both cultures. But yeah, we were both born here in the U.S. Grew up here, went to school here. Our parents always took us to Nigeria for like Christmas and holidays every year of our lives.
Yeah.
So we do have a good amount of time that we spent in Nigeria throughout our lives. So I feel like, you know, we still got the good Nigerian aspect growing up. So that's why some people meet us, sometimes they're like, oh, yeah, were you born here or in Nigeria? You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's like when they look at all the elements, the tenacity, the spirit, the engagement, they'll be like, you guys must have been living in either area or you know, you must have had your legs in Enugu all the time.
Yeah, growing up, my parents spoke Igbo in the house, so we understand Igbo. I can speak Igbo. It doesn't sound pretty, but I can speak Igbo.
Right. It's so, like Igbo,
At this point, in my mind, the way I see it is, at the end of the day, irrespective of language, it's more like, you know, there are people who speak Igbo and don't do anything with it. There are people who don't speak Igbo that do so much more for the culture. So for me, it's always been about what is happening with that information that you have about your background. So let me ask you this then, Uki. What has that evolution been like, growing up with that as the backbone, and there's medicine, there's business that you want to do, and I know you've touched on it, but when you now think about it in the context of what you know about the culture of Nigeria, as well as living here now, you know, someone who was born here, would you say that it's similar, or it helped, or, you know, the entrepreneurship angle? Is this like, okay, if you're Nigerian, you know, what would you say about it in a broad sense?
That was a very complex question. But I would say that, you know, your culture and tradition is always your foundation, right? So in anything that we do outside of our, you know, our home, you always have in the back of your mind, as a Nigerian, I'm proud to be, you know, who I am. As a Nigerian, I strive to be the best that I can be. And as a Nigerian, I strive to portray the best image of my culture to other people. So I think that as the foundation will never steer you, you know, wrong. And I think our parents did a very good job of making sure that we understood the implication of our culture and our history. So for me, you know, growing up, I always, you know, I had this moment when we first moved to Ohio, where my parents live, that I wasn't sure of my own identity when I started school, because I went to school with only white children. And for me, understanding my name and the importance of my name, I think took time, because when you're judging yourself against children who are a different ethnicity, sometimes you feel like you're unsure of your significance, your importance, and your beauty. So I think, you know, it's important to remember your culture in that sense of who you are, and also remembering your culture when you're trying to pass it down to your own children. For me, it was very important that my children have only Igbo names, because that's our culture. My culture is not English, so there's no point for us to have English names. So my children have Igbo names. I call them by their Igbo names. I don't Americanize their Igbo names. I don't call them, you know, things that sound American, you know, but you would think, you know, otherwise. So for me, maintaining that culture in my family life as well as my business life are important. And I think that for Ify and I, when we started the business, it was important to say we're not just starting any business, but we want to start a business that celebrates culture, African culture, Nigerian culture. And as well, that has extended into our other business endeavors, like my hair care product line, Enkay Naturals. I have been making hair care products for years. People think I just woke up and started doing this. I've been doing this for years. And for me, I always sought to use ingredients that my ancestors would have used to take care of their hair, because all these Oyibo relaxers and stuff,
I've never gelled for our 3-comb hair. You know, it's got the 3-comb hair. You need 3 combs, you know, to just accomplish one sweep. No, I feel you on that one. So, but could you just drop your social media handle right now? Let them hear it in your own voice, because I know people like that are like, I want to follow Enkay. I want to follow Enkay. Go ahead and just.
So on Instagram, on Instagram, I am Nkay1010. That's Enkay 1010. You can follow my hair care product line, Enkay Naturals.
And that's the second business. So let's go to the third one. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are listening, we just moved from Nkoma by Ify. We've moved into Enkay Naturals. Now we're about to dive into the third one. And this third one is interesting because this one now sort of answer some of the questions that we're talking about when we started this show about are we crusty or not crusty as we get on this video. But for real though, ladies and gentlemen, there is a third company that is extremely fascinating to me, and you both are collaborating across the board, and this has to do with skincare. It's Natural Essence Skincare, right?
Yes,
That's the name of the company. So who's the brainchild about this third one? Like, how did this even now move from, like, what are we talking about here? How did we get here?
So this one, what my mom actually created this company. She wanted to create a skincare line for people that have sensitive skin and for people that want to use safe and natural products. So she created this line, and she wanted us, like me and Enkay, to be a part of it, just so that we can help with development of a product line developed by pharmacists and physicians.
Yeah.
So this company that she launched, we're very much involved with it, with more of the formulation of like the ingredients to use, since we all have like a kind of like a chemistry background and stuff. So this is the third baby that launched, or technically the second, because Inkay's the third one that launched.
At this point, you guys have
Enkay Naturals is still coming.
Yeah.
But it's so good because you have that many followers on something that is just coming. So we don't know if we should believe when you say it's coming, because I think you've already started seeding the product anyways. So, but let me get Ify's social media handle as well. It is, and I want you to say it yourself, because if I say it, people will think I'm kidding. What's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram handle is Naija Goddess.
Yay!
And the one and the only Naija Goddess.
The one and the only Naija Goddess, 2011 beauty pageant champion from South Pennsylvania. What are you talking about?
Oh my God! Yeah.
It's funny. People still ask me like, "Oh, Naija Goddess is your sister?" I'm like, "Yes, Naija Goddess is my sister."
I remember the first time that I met you as well, and that was the thing. I was like, hold on, she can't be this down to earth. From like, she's untouchable out there. She's been doing this YouTube thing. But speaking about your YouTube journey, though, if Enkay was a person who started off the YouTube experience in the household,
yep.
How are we talking Ify Yvonne, beauty, healthcare, everything as 90,000 subscribers, millions of views on video? How long has this been? I saw one of the videos on your channel that was like 13 years old. I'm like,
oh yeah, I've been doing it. Yeah, I've been doing YouTube for a long time. I feel like I have like a little gap because I went to school. I went to pharmacy school, so I didn't like take it serious during that time. But when I finished school, then I got back into it and then took it seriously. So that's when like I saw the most growth. But yeah, Enkay was the one that was the YouTube person. As I said, we made fun of her for watching people on the internet. And then I literally have no idea like what made me go on there and start making videos. But
yeah,
I did.
I think I'm the one that took it.
It's funny. It's like I did, and then all of a sudden, it's like one day you have 90,000 people watching you. And it's just like, and it's weird because it's not like you call people to come watch your videos. They just came. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's funny. It's just funny.
It's a blessing, guys. As far as I'm concerned, we have to do a part 2 of this. Like, I don't know if we can capture everything in one episode, but I love that because as you talked about viewers, it brings us to this second segment. We're just on our second segment, ladies and gentlemen. It's Don't Forget to Flush. Stick with us because we want to get into culture commentary. One of the things that people talk about a lot when it comes to the industry that you play in, whether from a medical side or from your business side, and then also as a social media influencer, has been this, seeming divide, or if at all, between what you could say the Africans and African Americans in that sense, or the Black and African, right? Mm-hmm. And there's so many conversations around that. But what I wanted to just hear from you guys was, as folks who are out there doing what you do, what would you say has been your experience in that conversation? And this could be in any areas you choose. Mm-hmm. Like in the conversation around, what is it like having content that folks who are not from the continent in that context can relate with, as well as people who on the continent can relate with, right? Mm-hmm. Or from the continent. Like what is that thought process or that feeling or that idea? What's your point of view about that?
So I feel like me being a Nigerian American, I have both perspectives. So I can relate with, Black Americans, but then I can also relate with other Africans. So when I make my videos, it's just like my life experience in America. And other Black Americans can relate with that. But then I also give, my life here in America as a Black person, but then also with the touch of being Nigerian and how I see the world. So I feel like when I make my videos and I vlog when I'm in Nigeria, other people that aren't African can see another side of Africa that they've never seen before. Kind of just see it as just like a regular, like, hey, I'm just a regular Black girl from America going to Nigeria, like, which is my culture. Just showing them how Nigeria is, just like, not on the news, just like regular everyday life. And I feel like I'm able to teach non-Africans about my culture, and then they can see how I incorporate my culture with being in America, and then vice versa. Other Africans that watch my videos, they can see like how I incorporate my culture, my morals, my beliefs with my everyday living in America. People that are Africans that are in America, and then also Africans that are still in Africa and various countries can see how, I'm in America here, but I still hold on to my culture, and they can see how I do that. So I just feel like bringing both worlds together, that's how my audience is. My audience is Black Americans from all over the world, Africans from all the different African countries, and then just like me living my life, balancing both worlds. So
yeah, I really think that African descendants of slavery crave identity and fellowship with other Africans. And I think that they get a non-threatening experience through watching videos and vlogs and watching other people's culture, because a lot of them crave and desire to find their ancestry, and they don't have that ability because of slavery. So understanding and watching other Africans doing similar things to them, I think gives them some type of identity that they want to, communicate with and interact with throughout the day. So I think that Ify provides that perfect platform because she bridges both, like she was saying, and she has viewers of all ethnicities that watch her. So.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things that I always find fascinating about what you guys are doing, because it's like we're also sort of breaking down those seeming barriers, and that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast, because it's the more we can have conversations about how this is not a big deal. There are people who try to create division through it, whereas it's a case of, hey, I want to show you who I am, so that I can not only have you appreciate who I am, but it gives me a window to, learn more about who you are as well. And whether it's with the products and the things you guys, because take for instance, the dresses you guys have on your site. I'm always fascinated that, yes, they might be on African print, but the design is as good as anything that you see on Saks Fifth Avenue. So
I like how you pointed out, because that's what we wanted to bring to our company, was that like we want to create like everyday fashion with a touch of African prints, so a regular gown you can buy at Macy's, like I love the style, but like I want to see some African print on it. So I feel like a lot of things that we try to bring is like just regular everyday products that just have an African touch on it. And one thing to go back on the videos, when I go to Nigeria and I vlog, my personal experience, my personal thoughts to bridge the gap between Africans and like Black Americans is just to show them that you have another place to go, and it's there's so much to learn about it. So one thing I love is that I can show them a different world, and they can be, like learn more about it, so they can feel like they can come there. So I feel like the bridge that we need is that we need to facilitate bringing Black Americans to African countries so they can experience it. And I feel like they'll just have a better understanding of like the African mentality and like how it is living here. So that, because I feel like once you empower Black Americans to explore Africa all over, then I feel like they'll just, I don't even know how to explain it, but like, they'll just unlock a different perspective of life. You already
plugging the last episode that we had on the show. We had someone who he's building this
Yep.
travel system where
Yes.
you could
Yes.
travel and book and all that.
Yep.
And I encourage everyone to listen to my last
Yes.
episode
Yep.
with Yvonne. That's a great idea and a great plug. But let me, and you know what, ladies, we're going to get into, because we haven't even started talking about relationship and love. And you know how people say things like, what prayer did you pray? Nope. As far as I'm concerned with your husbands, we need to ask them what prayer they prayed.
Exactly.
Amen.
I'm like, for real though. But how about the other side of it though? Because here we're talking about what you could call, culture commentary in that sense, right?
Yeah.
But here's this other angle of gender and stereotypes, like, family stereotype, gender stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
How has that played for you guys, whether it's in medicine or in your business, in just being powerful Black women, doing what you do and still being a mom, a wife, and having it all in that context, which in itself sounds very chauvinistic, but what are your thoughts?
I feel like
so definitely Nigerians.
I feel like Nkei and I
Nigerians love gender
don't
stereotypes.
What
Yeah,
a way
it's
to
just,
start the conversation.
yeah,
My
it
God,
was
just
just
Nigerians
Nigerians.
love gender
yes,
stereotypes.
they do. They do. They love stereotypes, and I feel like one thing I feel like one thing that people like about Nkei and I is that we show our working side, and then also our home life of being a mom and a wife. And people just like to see, like, how do you juggle it? They always ask, like, how do you juggle it? How do you do both? And people love to see how Nkei juggles both because she's a medical doctor. Her schedule is more intense than mine. Mine is really like literally 9 to 5, clock in, clock out at the pharmacy. But Nkei's is like, her hours is like, she could be 100 hours per week at work, like.
So, but has that been your? Yeah, I was going to ask. Has that been?
Go ahead.
Has that been something that has always been at the back of your mind? Does that occur in the manner that people tend to describe it? That you have to wear two things on your shoulder: one, your hopes and dreams, and this other thing that society tries to place on women in your sphere.
Yeah, it's so difficult because I think that, Black women are not a monolith. So we have so many different facets to what our capabilities are. And for me, I knew that I always had these creative desires to do business. I have my educational desires to be a successful physician, and then I have my family. So it's always trying to juggle between the three. So for me, I put one before the other. So for me, my family always comes first before my education and my business endeavors. So for me, taking care of my children, for me, I had children back to back to back. So it was always difficult for me to juggle taking care of my children the way that I want to and still like working crazy hours. And thankfully for me, I have a husband that allows me to pursue my own dreams. So he never stopped me from pursuing my career aspirations because I have children. So he helped me out a lot in the sense of for the children so that toxic masculinity in the Nigerian community. Well, I don't know if it's Nigerian or just African, but the idea of toxic masculinity seems to be prevalent. Even non-Africans perceive African men to have toxic masculinity. And I think that my husband will laugh at me because I use that phrase a lot, toxic masculinity.
I use it as well.
It's apparent.
Me and you both.
You do? Okay, good.
As well.
It's apparent. And I feel like we need to talk about it so that we can get rid of it. Luckily for me, I always say about my husband that I feel like he bridges the portion of Nigerian men that I like, which is that culture, stability, intelligence, and foundation that I love about him, but also with some, new age thought process, which is I can help my wife do things around the house. I can help my wife take care of the kids. And not to say that he's carrying babies and, but just to say that when I'm at work, I know that my husband can hold it down, and make sure that the kids are fed and, have different things done for them when I'm not around. And it's funny because when I was working like hardcore and I wasn't home a lot, when the kids cry and they get hurt or something, they run to their mom because that's who they want for comfort. For me, my kids ran to my husband because I wasn't around and they were so used to getting that love and comfort from him, which I'm grateful to say that my husband was able to provide that sense of warmth and empathy for my children when I was at work. My schedule's a little different now, so of course the kids come to me, but but I love the idea that I married somebody that, you know, in my absence, it doesn't become an issue. In my absence, he can still help and provide for the children. In my absence, he can still love me for who I am and what I'm doing. And I think that that discussion is not had enough, that it doesn't make you less of a man to change diapers. It doesn't make you less of a man to bathe children. It makes you a stronger parent, a stronger father, a better partner if you have some investment in the upbringing and day-to-day habits of your family. And thankfully for me, toxic masculinity doesn't exist in my house. So I'm happy.
we have to talk a bit more about that toxic masculinity, because, you know, it's one of my favorite topics on social media, and folks who follow me on social media know I've gotten into a bit of fist fights and arguments about it. And you know, I'm going to jump us quick into the next, and I know this is going long, guys. You're listening to Don't Forget to Flush, or you're watching it at this point and you're like, how is this guy planning to do this 2-hour podcast? Well, welcome to my world. I can all this conversation is important. So we're going to do something fun right now, right? This is the Dinkpa and Diva section. Now, a lot of times when I have guys on the thing, I tell them it's Dinkpa and Dinkpa. And then I try to explain to my audience that Dinkpa is a word from southern eastern Nigeria. It means grown-ass man or grown man. And then, you know, but I love the juxtaposition of having Dinkpa and Diva, because to my own beliefs as well, I mean, it's not about what a man can do and what a woman can do. It's just the fact that we're both on this planet and we have things that we have to do. So I think of the women as powerful and as women that continue to inspire everyone around them, irrespective of whether they are men or women, to be better than where they are. And so to me, that's my definition of diva. So the only condition on this segment is that whatever I ask you guys, you have to pick an accent. Now you have to make up an accent. Whatever accent you choose, that's fine. And that's what you're going to use to respond to the question. All right, sounds good. So I'm giving you guys like 5 seconds to think about it. Now, I think this is best for Ify. You go first. Now, and because it's Dinkba and Diva, if you notice, I get to be Dinkba, which is I keep my Igbo accent. Because that's the best one I can do. So I use that all the time. On this show, it is a Dinkpa and Diva. Yes. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Don't Forget to Flush. We have Nkeiru with us, and Ify Yvonne, who of course on social media is Niger Goddess. I'm super excited to have them on. And so we're going to ask you this question because I know folks listening want to know this. Let me switch into my accent right now. So Ify and Enkay, let me ask you to this thing, because you know, you people have worked with a lot of brands and a lot of companies and a lot of business people in this your journey. 3 companies. Hey, Diego. But as you have done these 3 things, what would you say is the common denominator? The standard thing that seems to be applying in each of these different scenarios. And I'm leaving it open-ended so that you can answer any way you want. Huh?
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Ify Yvonne.
That's a good one.
So it's good. So to get into your question about working with different brands and how we the core foundation of incorporating all of them into our content. I always try to make sure that I do sponsored content and work with brands that I actually believe and love, and I can actually incorporate it into things that I'm posting, things that I'm talking about. So just to keep the integrity of my brand, keeping the integrity of what I share with my audience, and to always feel like they can trust in everything that I'm talking about, that I share, that I say that I love, that I'm wearing. So yes, just being loyal, trusting, integral with all that I do. So. Yeah.
So what advice would you give people that are looking for sponsor and looking for those partners here? Because we know that you have done a bit of that. So tell us how you got it.
So the best way is when you have your social media and your following, package yourself in a way that when you present your audience, what you do to a brand, they'll it's tantalizing. It looks nice. So create I would say create like a media kit showcasing all your platforms, your rates and fees that you would do to incorporate it and to talk about it on your platforms, and then just pitch yourself. Sell yourself to all the brands, and they're always looking for people to talk about their brands, whether they're large influencers, smaller influencers. They're looking for all types of people. So don't be scared just because you have 5,000 followers and one person has 1 million. They're looking for everybody. So pitch yourself.
Since you use 5,000, me and my 37 followers, let us just hold ourselves. So Enkay, because this is a Denkpa and Deva, so I have to ask you as well. So in all these things that you have described, what will you say has been the most powerful advice that you have gotten over the years that has helped you to be where you are today? So that we'll learn from that advice as well.
So the most powerful advice that I can
Wait,
say
is this an accent?
is that
I'm
is it not an accent? American accent? Wait,
oh, sorry.
Is it not American accent?
No, keep going.
Accents. I'm just trying to answer. I don't know.
Go ahead.
The only other accent I can do is like, what if you did, but not as good. So I'm just going to respect myself and just answer the question in my American accent. Now I forgot the question.
No, we're just asking about the powerful advice that you've received, because you cannot be doing all these things that you are doing without some strong things you've been told. So which one has been, gingering you throughout this period?
The one that has gingered me the most, honestly, is what my dad told us growing up. To whom much is given, much is expected. I've been given much and my expectations are high. So pushing myself to achieve those expectations is what drives me. To whom much is given, much is expected. I want to expect much of my children, so I have to give them much. And that's what I'm doing.
Wow, that is extremely powerful. That knocks off the accent completely. So since you took us to that serious place, let's go there. Toilet seat conversations. That's what we're about.
Okay.
And people always say, why toilet seat conversations? Don't forget to flush. We know that people can sing in the bathroom, but when they're on the throne, the kind of thinking that goes on there, people have planned everything from coups to campaigns to everything. So let me ask you this. People listening want to be a part of your journey, right? So they want to be a part of your journey. And what would you want them to know about you and your business, and how they can share in that experience or that journey? I mean, beyond just following, like what is the deep-seated ideas that you want them to sort of embrace? And we're using this vehicle here on the podcast to just talk about it.
I think for me, I want, for my hair care line, I mean, it started really organically just for me creating products for my own natural hair when I went natural first, which was almost 10 years ago. Learning to love your natural self, which can be through your natural personality, your natural looks, your natural hair, loving yourself and being okay with what you look like and how people perceive you is a journey, especially for Black women, who grew up in the US, because my comparison was always to, Caucasians. Yeah. So growing up, learning to love myself, the way I look, the way I speak, people always say, oh, why do you say things like that? Because growing up in my house, my parents spoke Igbo. They speak English with Nigerian accents. So me learning how to speak English, some of my words had Nigerian accents to them. So going to school for me, people were like, oh, why do you talk like that? Why do you do this like that? I said, it's something wrong with me. You grow up thinking like, something's wrong with you. But learning to love yourself just as you are, learning to love your hair just as you are is what really inspired me to create Enkay Naturals. And I think that I want my, customers, followers to celebrate their own hair, their own uniqueness, and feel that their cosmetic needs are present in mainstream media.
That's deep. Ify, how about you as the COO, CEO, founder,
all of the above,
bringing all ideas to life across the skincare that you have this partnership with your mom going, and Nkoma by Ify and Livy?
So I feel like to make it all around with like my brand as myself, and then Nkoma, and then the other business that we have. It's like just celebrate, and as we say for Nkoma, just celebrating the rich and vibrant culture of Africa. I feel like going back to what I said about bridging the gap between Blacks and Africans, it's like I feel like I've seen the way that Black Americans think, because I'm here. I grew up here, and then I see what I have back home in Nigeria. So I feel like for me, I feel like I'm always looking for a way to like showcase to other people that are not Africans what we're about.
Yeah.
We have so much culture, so much history that they don't even teach us in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we don't learn African history in school. So it's a part
That's so important. We don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a part of the world history that is missing. And I feel like I just want to, this is my own way of bringing
your
people
voice,
in,
yeah.
like, bridging the gap. If it's Black Americans that shop at my store and they feel like, okay, I want to get into African fashion, this might be a good, gateway to get into it, learn about it. And then you learn about not only like you're wearing African clothes, but like learning African prints, because there's like, that there's like iconic African prints that I always try to incorporate in our products, that like people that are from older generations, people from our generation, and then people that don't know anything about African culture will learn about, you know what I mean? And then also, as we said, like trying to put the African flair on regular products. So I'm just trying to just bridge that gap, bring people in, let people learn about African culture in just a regular down-to-earth way, not what's on TV, not what's on the news, but just to bring them in, to make them feel comfortable, so that eventually they'll be comfortable to like go and learn more on their own, So that's,
and the second thing is that if they come through, they'll be worshipped. I mean,
and that's the thing, Africans are always so ready to teach people and show people like our culture. We're so inviting, so inviting.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's a shameless plug as well. For those who don't know, the podcast, Don't Forget to Flush, our flagship picture of me as the face of the podcast, the t-shirt that I was wearing, or I am wearing, that I wear every cover, is royalty. Yeah. And what people don't know, and I've tried to tag it a few times, is that t-shirt is actually made by your company, Nkoma by Ify and Livy. And I know we didn't talk about it. You must have just popped up one day on social media and you were like, hold on.
Yeah, I know.
He took our t-shirt and make it like his flagship thing. And the reason why I'm saying it to both of you is I'm also saying thank you, because at the end of the day, that as I thought about my own podcast and what I wanted to tell, I felt that t-shirt sort of explained. I'm just trying to say that I'm a witness to what you were describing about trying to bridge the gap with the fashion and how because that's exactly what happened to me. I was like, there's no better way for me to launch Don't Forget to Flush than to get this t-shirt and be the face of the brand in that sense. So as we begin to round off, and I know it's been a long podcast, but I tell you, I know everyone listening to this will be like, wow, these folks are super women, Black girl magic, Black excellence, the whole nine. But there are folks who are listening and they're asking themselves, wait, with COVID and with everything that has transpired, I'm a first-time entrepreneur. It's my first time trying to do this. I'm a woman. With everything else, what kind of advice, would you guys give first-time entrepreneurs or folks who are starting during this time of COVID? Because you guys must have been making some pivots yourselves as well with your business. So, let's begin to toilet seat conversation part 2. Let's go. Tell me about that. What kind of advice?
So, it's funny how, like Nkeiru and I talked about this when the pandemic hit. And we saw a lot of businesses go out of business, shut down, stalled. And it's funny how Nkoma, like this has been our best business year, our best. And it's because our products that we have with our skincare, with the Enkay Naturals and with Nkoma, they're all products that are like needs. You know what I mean? They're not so much of like an extra, or like, I don't need it for everyday life. It's like our sleepwear and our bonnets are our best-selling products. And now that people are at home, people want to be wearing cute stuff at home. So people are
Get your
buying,
bonnets.
PJs, robes, and bonnets out like crazy.
I know it's hard to find anything on your website. It's like before I even pinged you guys, I'm like, excuse me, can somebody give me my size? Like,
It's so we're just saying that like we're grateful that we have products that stand with changes in anything. People are gonna always need sleepwear. Everyone goes to sleep, and then people are more at home, so they want to look cute when they're at home. And then with Enkay Naturals, with the pandemic, people aren't going to get their hair done as they used to. You have to find ways and resources to do your hair at home. So obviously, Enkay Naturals is like, people are like, I need to learn how to do my hair, because people have hit the point where it's just like, okay, I can't go to my hairstylist. So I need to learn how to do my hair myself, my natural hair. So I need to finally learn, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what products can I use to help me with my hair? And then that's where Enkay Natural comes in. So it's like, as I said before, like, we're grateful that we have products that are still needs despite what's going on in the world. And my advice is to get into something that will stand the test of time, I guess. Something sustainable, something that you can grow with, and then no matter what's happening or where you are in the world, people will still need and want it. It's not like a fad. It's not something like, maybe in 10 years, people aren't using this anymore. People aren't doing this. It's not in fashion. It's not in style anymore. So get into something that will, stand time, will be with you 10 years down the line. I'm still going to be wearing my robes, bonnets. I still need all that stuff. I still need my hair care products, So get into something that will be able to stand that time, stand the changes, no matter what's going on.
That is amazing. So Nkei, if we had to close on this note, and people were like, we need to follow you guys, like, give us the rundown of everything. Already we know NK1010 on Instagram. Do you guys have Facebook at all? Or is this one of the, if you see anything on Facebook, it's a fraud? It's not us. If you see us on Twitter, it's not us. And then you guys say decline. Is there Facebook to this? Is there Twitter to this? Like, what's the gamut of where people can find you guys?
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook. I have my personal Facebook, like my Ify Yvonne, and then I have the Nkoma Facebook. The Enkay Naturals Facebook, I think, is launching when the site launches, because they all have to tie in together. And then the skincare is on Facebook as well, Natural Essence Skincare, and then also on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really tweet that much.
Twitter. I mean, Donald Trump spoiled everything for everybody.
I don't tweet that much. I feel like, with juggling your work and career and being a mom and all this stuff, we just try to hit the biggest platforms, because we don't have time for you Snapchatting.
So just to be clear though, people don't know. You guys are running this yourself. It's not like you have an entire team behind you. It's like both of you in the midst of everything. You're doing this stuff yourself.
Yeah, we have a team, like our besides us, we have like a very small team.
Okay.
This year we kind of learned that, okay, we need to like expand our team, because we can't do everything at the same time. So this year was the year where we incorporated like a marketing manager, social media manager, assistant. So our team is little still, but we're still doing all of the legwork. It's kind of like the times when it's more of the times we're at work is when someone else can step in while we're at work to do things.
No, that's perfect. I would have given you guys that advice. I would have been like, let's get on my couch so that I can explain to you people as a psychologist, psychiatrist, endocrinologist, and every other word in medicine. You also have an assistant. But ladies, this is amazing talking with you all. We need to do another part where we're going to get into like love and relationships.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That'll be a good one.
I feel like that's what everybody wants to
do. We need to be able to like explain to guys how to do the 3-card Monty with changing diapers. Like, like how do you prevent the baby?
No, you can teach the men that one,
right?
But we need to understand, how is it that the babies only pee on the men and the women get away with it? Like, how do you guys move that whole thing? Because all the guys I'm speaking to are the ones who have the most, let me not even get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Don't Forget to Flush podcast, and I'm right here with these two ladies are some of my faves. We're talking about Ify Yvonne and Nkeiru 1010, which even just understanding how we got to the 1010 that's a whole different show that we have to like get on. But thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for giving me
having us. This was fun.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was fun.
For part 2.
Me too. I feel like
we're going there because we need to, I really need to know. We'll bring in the husbands and we'll stand them at the back and then we'll say, what prayer did you pray?
I advise to keep them out because they are literally on like 10.
Lawrence and Chris.
Oh no, we need to just on that because I mean, people, we need to hear what prayer they pray. Or you guys will just share with us. But thank you so much. You have to share with us now. What prayer did they pray? What did they put into it? Because
we'll let you know. We'll let you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what. So thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to flush. And for spending all this time. And in case if you guys are listening to this and it's just one continuous episode, just press pause. But no need. You're already at the end. All right. So we out. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for part 2.
That's where we're going. Yeah. That is where we're going.